What is up, guys? We are back. We came up with a new name, Stumped for Answers. It's your host,
Wow.
Zed, and your co host, Vase, and we have a special guest. Vase, can you give a little introduction?
Man, I love doing the introductions because every time we have one, it's me giving the intros because they're always my guys. I want to give a warm welcome to my guy AG, Atif Gill, DMV cricket legend. He's one of those guys that when it comes to sports takes, honestly, they're always good, whether it's the NBA, NFL, or cricket. And just one quick shout out to our WhatsApp group, More Life, because that's essentially how we met. I want to give a shout out to our admin for that group, to JV. AG, if you want to take it away, man.
Yeah, nice to have you on the show, AG. It's an honor. I think we're all still getting over the India Pakistan game. It's been 3, 4 days, so we've had some time to reflect and recollect our emotions. So, just because we didn't hear your input on the game, if you could give us like what went wrong for Pakistan.
This is a great idea. I love cricket podcasts. I think, having voices in the United States talking about cricket is very crucial because we're a up and coming nation. There's a lot of us that watch cricket, but I feel like we don't have a voice. So thank you very much for starting this. Wase, appreciate you having me on, Zed. Thank you. In terms of Pakistan, India, for me personally, and Wase knows this, I'm very critical of the Pakistan national team, only because I've seen these problems for years now, and we've done nothing to fix it, right? So the problems for me started up top. The selection of the team, the guys, the combinations of different batters. Unfortunately, Syme got hurt before the tournament, and then Fucker went out when we were bowling in our first game. So it just became a very tough situation. We just didn't have the right combinations, and this is a problem that's been going on for several years. It's like our guys perform against certain teams, which they earn nicknames when they perform against those teams, and you know what those nicknames are.
Zimbabwe.
Please
Exactly.
stop it, bro. He's had two centuries out of 31, dude. Please keep going on. I'm about to.
Yeah, but if you look at their, it's like the last ODIs, even the last couple of T20 series, it's like everyone's really struggled. A performance here or there, is not doing anything for you. You got to be able to string performances together. You have teams that are like, the big guys, the Australias, the Indias, the Englands, unfortunately, who just had tough luck today against Afghanistan. They just have been consistent year after year, tournament after tournament, and we are not able to string those together. It's just patchwork here and there. One game somebody's performing, another game somebody else is performing. So I was expecting it. I'm not big on the whole, thoughts and prayers. Oh, we might have a chance, we might win. Like you got to look at the two teams. Like India has a very strong side. I don't think the Dubai thing versus Lahore or Pindi thing really mattered to them. They could have done the same thing to us in Pakistan versus outside of Pakistan. I mean, Dubai was our home for so many years when there was no international cricket going on in Pakistan. So we can't say that's a disadvantage to us. Yeah, India was able to play one game in
I
Dubai.
think we'll cover that later a little bit in
Okay,
the
sure, sure,
show.
sure. Sorry.
It's
So
all good,
I
bro.
know it's a lot
You're
of things
good.
that people mention, but it's just if you look at the two teams, India was just a lot better than us on paper. They've been playing a lot better than us recently. We had the series in Australia that essentially Australia gifted to us, and then South Africa, which I feel like that was also gifted to us. And we were, for some of the fans who were always optimistic, they were riding a huge high, like, oh, we just beat Australia in Australia. First time it's happened in 20 some years. We just beat South Africa in South Africa, but they were playing backups. So it was like, did we really beat
Yeah,
the A
I
team?
think they had some potential like good victories in those countries, but like it's always with Pakistan, we have extreme highs and then we have extreme lows. So it's a lot of peaks and valleys. And the one alarming thing that I heard like the press conferences after the game, Mohammad Rizwan probably gave one of the worst press conferences of all time, where he was basically blaming Saim Ayub for the two losses that they had in the Champions Trophy. So, what are your guys' thoughts on his press conference and basically what he said? Because that was blasphemous at one. Like, what is he saying?
Yeah, if I can just add something in there, dude, they need to give the Pakistani players and whoever the captain is some media training I mean, every time Rizvan has a press conference, he says something outlandish, and we're the laughing stock. Again, I
Exactly.
reiterate, not just the playing 11. A damn country of 240 million look bad whenever he says something, you know? So it's like they need to give more training to whoever they make captain, vice captain, to all 11 players.
Yeah, and then Akib Javed had some comments too on like selection, which didn't really make any sense. He just said that like, oh, India has 1,500 combined ODIs and we have less than 400. Babar Azam is the only guy playing 100 games. That's why we lost. Like lack of experience is why they
He
picked the
chose the
team that
team.
they did. And then yeah, exactly.
He picked
So
these guys, right? You can't
yeah,
they have a lack of experience. I mean, lack of experience also comes to the board, right? It comes to the coach. Say, hey, schedule more ODIs. In 2024 we played like 3 or 4 ODIs, and then all of
yeah,
a sudden
they're
Babar becomes the ODI cricketer of the year after playing 3 or 4 matches. It's like we live in this fantasy land where we know this tournament is coming up. We don't prepare for it. We just hope that things work.
well, the alarming thing for me was we knew how the try series was going. They had a really good chase against South Africa, but the games against New Zealand were alarming. And the fact that they did not make the changes that needed to be made after that try series was just I don't there's no words to say. Like you can why did they bring Fahim Ashraf on the tour just as a bench guy? Usman Khan, they feel bad for him because they canceled his UAE contract. So like those are the things that like we keep thinking about, like not bringing Abdullah Shafiq, who's a proper opener. Those are the things that we're just gonna keep like going back to. So that's just I think we'll cover like what towards the end of the podcast too, like what Pakistan needs to do in the future. Because we do have obviously the PSL is coming up in April, and then we have some games. We're going to New Zealand, I think, in May. So
Mhm,
Is it
mhm,
good if I add something, Did?
yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So right before the match was about to begin, in our WhatsApp group, we won the toss and we opted to bat first. And I swear AG was happy. So I'm thinking like, he is a realist, so he's happy. I'm like, I think we're gonna win now, just because he was so happy that we were gonna bat first. I remember before the match too, you predicted that if we do win the toss, we
Yeah,
must
I was
bat
jumping up and
because
down.
yeah, and I mean that performance was absolutely horrific. They had no game plan in regards to what the f to do. So AJ, if you want to go off on that, why you were so happy when they won the toss and they opted to bat, and did you think Pakistan was going to have a chance to win after that?
So I grew up here. I grew up in the States, right? So my memories of Pakistan cricket, actually my first actual memory, um, I watched cricket when I was a kid. My father used to watch it, but the timings were always, 3 a.m., 4 a.m. But my first actual memory of Pakistan cricket was, I remember the exact date, June 20th, 1999, Pakistan's World Cup final against Australia, where they got demolished. And I was in Karachi at the time, and I was like, what is going on? And then, you hear stuff about rumors about certain things happening and this and that. Since then, I've followed Pakistan cricket wholeheartedly. And I always knew one thing up until very recently. No matter what total the other team put on the board, our bowlers could defend it, right? Up until very recently, in the last couple of years, that was always my belief, right? And then I saw how much our bowlers have been struggling. Shaheen has been struggling. Horace has been struggling, Nassim, to me, plays his heart out no matter what. So if he produces or doesn't produce, I'm not very hard on him because I know he plays with his heart out, right? Um, so when they won the toss, I said, this is best case scenario. Hopefully, we can put up some runs on the board, and hopefully, our bowlers can defend. Because I knew if we bowled first and they put a big total on the board, there's no way we were going to chase this. With the way that our batters have been batting lately, so this is best case scenario for us. Dubai put up a decent total, and I was sitting with people, and they were like, "Oh, we put up 250, 260, 270. We can defend it." But people forget is we don't live in a 250, 260, 270 world anymore. If you're not playing 300 plus cricket, you should just stop playing, right? Like this is a 300 plus world, and Pakistan forever for the last several years has been living in a 260, 280 world. So it doesn't. If we had the bowling that we used to have, right? Shaheen pre-injury, Shaheen pre-marriage, right? Um,
Oh boy.
yeah. That you know what? This man, the injuries in its own place, but before the marriage, this man was bowling some fire. I don't know what happened. I'm not gonna blame it on the wedding, right? I'll blame it on
Yeah.
the injury. But pre-wedding, this man like was on a mission, and then My man got married. They took that tour to Australia, right? And after that tour, like, what was it, 4 years ago? It hasn't been the same, right? So now I don't have that belief that, hey, no matter what you put on the board, because even if we were talking about England and Australia, England put up 350, 355, and Australia chased it down. We're going to right? As you see on my sweatshirt, T20, right? So that T20 mentality, teams are kind of adopting that into the ODI, right? Where you have 50 overs, you have the power play 10 overs, right? Then you play the next 20 like a T20 where you can go, like, if you got to have a good power play, let's say you score 70, 80 runs, right? Next 20 overs, you can kind of fashion it where you say, okay, if we get 120, 140, now we're at 220, right?
Hmm.
Which means the last 20, we can go crazy, right? We can do
Yeah,
we could score as much as we want to score at that point
I
because
think a I think AG, yeah, sorry to cut you off, but where Pakistan lost that game against India is from overs 11 to 20. They scored
oh
27 runs
27 runs.
in those 10 overs. I think that's where the whole momentum got killed. And I remember watching and I'm like, I remember the last time watching a Pakistan India match and I'm like starting to get bored like
Yup, facts.
during that session of play because Rizvan and Saud Shakil were just dead batting at that point. They just kept hitting the balls to the fielders, no rotation
Mm.
of strike, and which is very unlike Rizvan because he's more of a busy cricketer who likes to like rotate the strike and get it going. I think the pressure just got to them, and that's how they that I think that section of the game is where the game got out of hand, and I think they lost because of that like 10 over stretch.
I'll take it a step further back and I'll say 1 through 10, which was the problem the previous game, is you have Babar playing too many dot balls, right? The game before it was 50 plus dot balls. In this game, and Wasi was in the chat, and I don't know if you were following, I was counting every single dot ball that he was playing. I think he got up
He
to
was.
18 before he got out. But yeah, he hit a couple of good boundaries. But listen, if you watch the second innings, right? Those balls that goalie essentially wasn't driving, wasn't hitting for sixes, he was taking a single. He was rotating strike, right? So once you rotate strike, you get the other guy on, right? He gets his eye settled in, he gets going, right? Even if you're taking a single, the runs are ticking, the scoreboard is ticking. Our
Exactly.
guys, they just get stuck, right? They're okay leaving, like the first couple of overs, Bobber was just leaving the ball. He wasn't even putting his bat on the ball, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to put your bat on the ball. You have to just get that feeling of playing that stroke, right? Because you can't just wait for the bad ball to come. Sometimes you gotta produce runs, right? You gotta be able to manufacture runs. You can't just wait for the bowler to bowl a bad ball, one bad ball every over, and you take you hit it for a 4 or 6. You got to be able to rotate strike throughout, right? Keep that scoreboard ticking, keeping the pressure on the bowler. I think that's really, I know 11 through 20 were very crucial for us, but as that in that power play where you only have two guys outside, you got to take advantage, even if you're just hitting ground shots. Take those single runs, take those singles, take those doubles. That's very
Yeah,
crucial in this game.
I think that loss is gonna haunt us for a while, and especially after this was one of the tournaments coming back to Pakistan, we were all very interested. But let's move on to we'll do a quick recap of the game today, which I thought was the best game of the tournament so far. The Afghanistan England game. Afghanistan coming up and winning by I think at the end was 9 runs or
Mhm.
8 runs.
8 runs.
Great performance from Afghanistan, who's got England now twice in international tournaments in the 23 World Cup and now in the Champions Trophy. What were your guys' thoughts? Just to give a little preface, Afghanistan was 37 for 3 in the power play, and they built that innings up to 325. Amazing batting from Ibrahim Zadran. If you guys haven't watched, go watch the Willow highlights of his century and the package. Babar Azam, who the guy has all the shots. So, what were your guys' thoughts
Every
on the
comment
game?
relates back to relates back to King. But I mean, okay, so to be honest, I only watched
Don't
it
call him
from
king.
the
Please don't call him king.
Yeah.
bro, no comment. Okay, so I watched the game from the 45th over onwards, and just anytime I watch the Afghanistan cricket team play, whether it's ODI or T20, they show fight. They literally play as if their life depends on it because they're not just playing for themselves, they're playing for their nation. And you can see it, with the raw emotion they have, whether they're fielding, whether they're batting, whether they're bowling, etc. And I'm gonna put this on record. The Afghanistan fast bowlers are superior than the Pakistani fast bowlers. I think they're more sharp. I think they're smarter. And when the game's in the line, they come and they perform.
I think that Azmatullah definitely utilized the conditions better than any Pakistani bowler. They were kept the ball back of length, and I think that's where they succeeded. But AG, go ahead and what are your thoughts on the game? How Afghanistan performed?
Yeah, Afghanistan has just shown up. Right? Like Wasi said, they just have fight. Right? They are nothing intimidates them, nothing scares them. Even in a dire situation where they're three down in the power play, you have one guy that sticks around, right? Just sticks around long enough, scores 170. You got three guys at the end who all give you 40 runs each, right? And that adds up. And then you know what? That gives you confidence when you're going into bowl because you say, hey, we have runs on the board. Even if we make a few mistakes, we'll be okay. We have world class bowlers, right? We have world class. Rashid Khan is there, right? That man can change a game in a split second, right? And that gives confidence to all the other bowlers because you have guys that will fight for each other. And I think that's the main difference is these guys are hungry. They're still hungry. And this goes back to my comment about Shaheen. Pre-injury, pre-marriage, he was hungry. You could see it. He used to fight every single ball, right? And again, I'm not going to blame the marriage. I'm going to say the injury had a huge impact because the fight kind of went away. And these guys, now Afghanistan, all these guys, number one, they play throughout the world, right? They play in India. They'll play any tournament that's going on. They don't shy away. They're not divas. They'll go and they'll play their heart out no matter where they are. And that's how they've gotten to be so good. That's why you see them taking a giant like England down today, because even in a pressure situation where England needed 9 runs off of 2 balls, you saw the guy. He performed. He got the final wicket. He got a catch out. It was, I think, Adil Rashid that got out at the end, right? Even
Yeah,
before that, I think if around with Adil Rashid, they could have finished the match off, but they bowled exceptionally well, right? They took their catches, right? So they have now been in those pressure situations and they are stepping up to the game and saying, you know what, we can beat anybody. And now
I
they
think
have
I've
a do or die matchup against Australia. And to
yeah.
be honest, they can beat them.
I don't know if they can beat him because they might get the Glenn Maxwell ghost from last time. But I think Afghanistan is starting to get clutch as long as Naseem Shah isn't batting. But yeah, totally impressed with Afghanistan. I think England is kind of in the same boat in white ball with Pakistan. The baseball era hasn't worked at all, and I feel like they have a couple of the
Hockey ball.
I feel like they have a couple of the older guys that are gonna phase out now, like Mark Wood, Abdul Rashid, maybe Butler might be done too. And the younger generation still hasn't come up and performed like how they have. But like you guys said, now the Group B gets very interesting. Right now, how it is Australia and South Africa have 3 points since their game got washed out. Afghanistan has 2 points. England is out. So now, between Afghanistan and Australia, it's kind of a must win for both teams. So, who do you guys think is going to make it out of that Group B?
Zaid, I told you before the tournament started, my Group B favorites were Afghanistan and South Africa, and I'm sticking with them both.
Okay. And what about you, AG?
I think I think Australia wins. I mean, I want to see Afghanistan win just to have that underdog story and knock off, a team like Australia. But Australia is too mentally strong, right? It's hard to beat Australia. And then England is out. I mean, I don't know if they're going to have much to play for against South Africa. So I think South Africa basically gets a walkthrough um,
hmm
to the next round. So I think South Africa, Australia are going to the next round from Group B.
I agree with you, AG. I'm going South Africa and Australia. I don't see Australia has that dog in them. Doesn't matter. They got six of their players injured. Doesn't matter. Someone like is gonna come up that you never heard of. Some guy, Spencer Johnson, will take six
Hmm.
wickets. Inglis will score 200. Maxwell might do something. That's why I love them. They always show up. They never make any excuses. So I'm taking Australia and South Africa, and I think Australia is one of the teams that has a chance to beat India because they're in their head. Ahmedabad 2023. The final.
Yeah.
Um, let's move on to another topic that's been brought up now, even in the broadcast today. A couple of the England commentators, Mike Atherton, Nasser Hussain, talking about India's advantage that they've had playing in Dubai. So what do you guys think? India has been playing all their games in Dubai. Their team has no travel. They're playing on the same ground, same surfaces. That surface has been used in the ILT20, which the surfaces are basically broken down, worn down, plus for spinners. So what do you guys think? Is it giving them an advantage? Do you guys think they should have traveled to a couple of the other grounds in UAE, like Sharjah, Abu Dhabi? What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it's a major advantage because any other team in the tournament has to travel to various venues, whether it's Karachi, Rawalpindi, or Lahore. You know, they're having matches in every city, whereas India's having it on the same ground. And if you don't want to come to Pakistan, that's fine. But at least hold your games in different venues within the UAE, which they did not do. And I'm glad it's not just us Pakistanis saying it; it's the entire cricketing world that's saying it as well.
AG, take it away. Do you have any comments on this?
I mean, advantage because they don't have to travel. Sure, they, you know, they're dogs, right? I mean, it's unfortunate. Would love for them to have come to Pakistan, right? Understand whatever issues they have. You know, is it a big deal to say like, oh, it's very unfair? They have a huge advantage over everyone else because I mean, they play all over the world in all these different leagues all throughout the year. So, they've played in Dubai, they've played at Sharjah, they played everywhere. Yeah, it might take them a little bit longer to adjust the pitch, but again, I don't think it's that big of an advantage. Again, I would have loved for India to come to Pakistan. I know the commentators are harping on it, right? But it is what it is, right? And everyone knew that before the tournament started. If teams had an issue, they could have raised that issue and said, hey, we think it's unfair. Why are they the only ones? Why not move the entire group over there, right? Or why have one group play there and then the other group play there? So I think it's a little drummed up now, right? To me, it's like we played in Pakistan played in Dubai for so many years. We should know the conditions, right? All the other players throughout the world they play in all now there's so many T20 tournaments, right? The ILT T20, there's they have the US now, South Africa, they're everywhere. So it's like these guys have played all throughout the world. It's not that hard to pick up on conditions very fast because the next day they're playing, they get a practice session in, they figure out how to adjust to the pitch, right? The morning of, I mean, there's so much intel that they get about, hey, how the pitch is performing, what it's looking like, the do on the field, right? So it's kind of like, and as a international player, you should be able to figure it out fairly quickly. So I don't think
Yeah.
it's a huge advantage. I'm not one that says, hey, oh, India
Bro,
is.
of course he doesn't think it's a big advantage when it comes to
my
India.
my
Do you
my
see
thing
this?
is
Do you see this?
guys, is just that sometimes in a tournament you have to go with a different 11, right? Depending on where you're playing, the conditions of the ground, the actual surface. And in this case, because India's not like losing and they're not having any trouble on that pitch, they're just gonna keep rolling out the same 11. Like if they were playing in Abu Dhabi, say the ball is swinging a little more, they would have played like a less. They wouldn't have to play three spinners. They would play an extra pacer, or like those things would go through their mind. But they're playing in the same city, they're playing in the same temperature, the surface is the same, they don't have to travel. I just think it's giving them definitely an advantage. And now, like, um the semifinal is going to happen in one semifinal is going to happen in Dubai for sure. Hopefully they lose India loses in the semifinal. I mean, I'm not even being mean or anything, but I want the final to be in Lahore. So
Can I ask a
I'm
question? Is there any way at all if India makes the final, they will be willing to come to Lahore to play
I
the
mean, I
final?
I saw
Is
Jay
there any
Shah
way?
sitting next to Shahid Afridi, so I mean, were they plotting something? But I don't think it happens. What do you think?
It makes I think whatever they were going to tournament to Pakistan, where Pakistan Pakistan doesn't for future tournaments, because I know India has a couple of the T20 World Cup next year, and I think they get the one day in 4 years. I think essentially sound like, hey, we're not coming. You don't have to either. We'll host the games at a neutral site. So I don't think there's any way. I would love it. I would love for them to come to Lahore, right? Or anywhere else. Not India, not Karachi, nowhere else. Come to Lahore, right? Whatever security issues there are, let's figure them out, and let's get you back.
Which there are none, by the way. Which there are no security
There
issues
are
because
no
you have
security
Indian
issues.
journalists. You have Indian journalists who are preaching to their following and to 1.3 billion Indians saying Pakistan's unsafe. What the baat kya hoya, bro? They're in Lahore themselves, eating our food, showing up on these, host shows, having
Vikrant
a great
Gupta.
time.
Vikrant
Vikrant
Gupta.
Gupta ki gal kar raha hu, bro.
Yeah,
Literally, come
yeah,
on, man.
He had
Have
an
some
interview with
shame.
Ahmad Shahzad.
Have some shame.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think like India kind of like ruined the relationship a little bit, like because in 23 we played all our games in India in front of those hostile crowds, and
Dude, and we
actually,
played our India game. The Pakistan India game, sorry to cut you off, was in the most hostile crowd I've seen. 100,000 Indians who, I don't want to see, it was just very
yeah,
hostile crowd. I'll leave it at
exactly,
that. You saw the videos.
and we've had issues in the past where actually Indian fans have been throwing stuff on the field and stuff like that. When Pakistan has won games, they've had to stop. So I mean, those issues haven't happened. I think the tournament's been amazing so far in Pakistan. The Lahore crowd, especially, has turned out for all the neutral games too. Even today for the Afghanistan England game, the crowd was rowdy. Um, it was going. So, I mean, I think it's been a great tournament so far. Let's move on to another topic that I think is interesting. Uh, what is the future of Pakistan looking like in the white ball setup? Do we think Rizwan sticks around as captain? What do we do with the likes of Babar Azam? What do we do with the likes of guys who aren't performing like Haris Rauf? Um, and like Babar Azam, like do we see a future without Babar Azam in 2027 World Cup? Like, I mean, he's not a match winner for me,
Bro,
so I mean, what
for
do you
you,
guys
he's
think?
not. But for 240 million Pakistanis, he is king. And there is no way, I mean, hopefully not. I don't want to say no way, but they should not drop him from the team under any format, to be honest.
Okay, I
Also,
mean,
there's some background noise. So, AG, if you guys want to take over for now, you guys
yeah, go
can.
ahead. I'll let AG take over. Like, what does the future look like? I mean, I think there's some guys that should not be in the white ball setup going forward. So take it away.
Yeah, I agree with you. Will it happen? Absolutely not. This is how we have been for years now, right? We might try these youngsters, but the tournament comes around. What do? We call up the old. We called up Muhammad Hafiz. We called up Shoaib Malik, right? Who haven't played, but we said, oh, we need this experience, right? Now this is the same thing that's going to happen with Bob Rosen. I think he has a very long leash, and it's been extremely long already. He performs once in a blue moon at this point, right? But they say, oh, once in a generation talent, right? And I, I maybe 5 years ago, right? But it's
Yeah,
like if you're not improving your game, right? Like even Kohli went through like a 3 year rut, right? And India backed him, right? But Kohli adjusted his game to say, okay, I can move up and down the lineup. They tried to move Babar to opener, worst decision ever, right? Babar and even when Babar and Rizwan were opening in T20, worst decision ever, right? It's just one bad decision after
152-0.
that was one
No,
game.
let me
one
tell you,
game.
2021 T20, they went undefeated, lost in the semis. 2022 World Cup, they made the final.
You cannot live off 92, 20 Champions Trophy, and 152-0. These are your three accomplishments in the last 50 plus years, right? If you
152-0,
I
baby,
mean,
what a feeling.
I think we left out the 2009 T20 World Cup.
okay, 2009, great. When it was, and it's like when it was new, and it was still a baby, when nobody else is playing T20, sure, right? But it's like you gotta have number one, you have to have the right leadership. I think that starts with Mohsen Naqvi. That even starts above Mohsen Naqvi, right? We're not going to turn this into a political podcast, right?
Yeah.
We've had one good chairman in the last 10 years, and that was Ramiz Raja.
Who?
Ramiz Raja,
Okay.
without any doubt,
Yeah.
Okay.
because he said,
100%.
"Look, we have to rebuild the entire structure, right, of this organization for it to work." right?
That's when the cricket was the best, in my opinion, too. Keep
100%.
going.
That's when it was competitive, when everybody was fighting for their position, when guys were batting at the right position. You have coaches. Okay, two things. Number one, I don't know if you saw the Ahmed Shahzad interview on TV when he had Mohammad Amr there and Rashid Latif there, right?
Yeah,
He, as much as you might have hated that, every single thing he said was spot on, right?
Bro, dude, Ahmad Shahzad will look in the mirror and he practices his goddamn 10-minute speech. You guys, there's no way. He should be an actor, bro.
he went
Honestly, he should be on
crazy.
TV.
He
Listen,
was spitting
Keep
facts,
going on.
though.
okay, when it comes to Mohammad Rizwan, I have followed him since he has been captain of. Well, that's what my team in PSF, right? So I see his captaincy in depth at that level, right? He is the best captain we have in the team. That doesn't mean he is the best captain that we will have, right? He's just the best of a bad product, right? So he makes some really bad decisions as captain, right? I think he has a very who gets selected, who doesn't get selected. You saw for years there was guys like Muhammad Nawaz who were in the team who didn't deserve a spot. Now because
Twitter.
match winner, yeah, Babar called him a match winner, right?
Jeez.
Now you see Khushdil, who performed. So this is the thought process. Khushdil, the reason that he performed a little bit in domestic, but right before this tournament, he performed in Bangladesh, and they said, "Oh, the pitches in Bangladesh are very similar to Pakistan. He's doing well there. He'll do well over here, right?"
The
That
league
can't,
where they don't pay their players.
you can't use that logic, right? And that's the same logic that you brought in Fahim Ashraf with, and you didn't even play him, right? So it's like it's problems start at the top and it trickles all the way down into your team. You got Rizwan and Babar. It doesn't matter. You took Babar out of captaincy, you made Rizwan captain. It makes absolutely no difference. It's the same thought process, right?
Yeah,
It's
the way I look at it, guys, is if we're losing and we're losing like embarrassingly, which we have been in these last two games, and the 23 World Cup I think was kind of embarrassing as well. Plus the
Dude,
2024
yeah, T20 World
2020
Cup.
World Cup, yeah. So like if we're gonna lose, why not lose with the young guys? Like why not give somebody like the young guy the captaincy? I think Muhammad Haris is a great option. He's been captaining Shaheens. Why not throw him in? I think he should be at least part of the white ball, the T20 for sure, and ODIs for sure. We have a lot of young guys waiting. Mohammad Wasim Jr., Irfan Khan Niazi. There's a bunch of guys that haven't got the opportunity, like Rizwan, like Babar. A lot of the bowlers too. There's a lot of young guys that are willing to play. Abbas Afridi's there. Um, we got to test out the strength. There's a lot of guys, Mehran Mumtaz, Arfat Minaz, play these guys. I would rather watch these guys and lose than you keep bringing back. I love Fakhr
Honest,
Zaman,
bro.
but he's 35. Fakhr Zaman is close to 35. How much more is he going to play? He's like probably the only X Factor guy we have, but I'm so glad we got rid of the Iftikhar Ahmeds, the guys that are aging. Like we didn't bring back like guys like Hafiz and Shoaib Malik. I mean, they're not available for selection, but like I want to see them bring in young talent, groom them. Like India, man, they bring in their guys and they groom them. Shubman Gill is probably going to be the best ODI batsman for the next 10 years. They have guys on their bench, Jaiswal. They have guys like Sanju Samson. They have guys like Shreyas Iyer. These guys have been grooming like within the guys, and they've been getting the chance to play now. And that's what Pakistan needs to do. I think we got to get out with the old, in with the new. I hope the PSL has some fines too, which usually they never turn out because we could take guys like Usman Khan.
Usman Khan.
I love. I think it's a four bucks. That can't be the for the selection for the national team.
Yeah,
You like I understand if you want to model it like after the IPL is the best of the best in the world minus Pakistan, right? Who compete against each other for 2 months, right? So even these guys that are up and coming, you really get to test their mettle. Okay, can this or not? And then you can if he goes against the best bowlers in the world, different conditions. So the teams are traveling all throughout India for 2 months, right? So you really see the quality of this player. In Pakistan, like Usman, for a guy, he does well and he plays for Multan, right? So I love the guy. Plays well. They say, hey, man, can you come back to the UAE? And they gave him a shot. Had his chance. And You can't compare the quality of PSL to international cricket, right? If you want these guys to develop, if potential in these, you have to do something different. You have to either bring in coach from outside and kind of what Afghanistan did, right? They brought in Jonathan Trott and they said, run with it.
Yeah, but we tried that too, and we kick out the guys that we brought
Yeah,
in.
they got ousted. Yeah.
They got Gary Kirsten got ousted within like a month, and Jason Gillespie, Bichara, they held him hostage in Pakistan, I think. So he left too. So I mean, I think that mentality just doesn't work. And the reason why PSL has been the main reason is because the guys that keep performing in domestic, they never get selected anyway. We have like
Yeah.
guys like Fawad Alam and stuff like that. The guys have like 70 average in list A, and they basically never got called up. So I think PSL, but I think this year PSL is actually going to be very good. They have got a lot of star power this year. David Warner, Kane Williamson. We have some guys from New Zealand, Daryl Mitchell, and I think it's the talent is growing this year. Like we got more international star power there, so I think it's going to be interesting. But like I said, I mean, if we're gonna lose, I don't know, Vase, you have some words on. So you think this setup should, like, the team should stay the same for the next T20
No, no,
World
I'm
Cup?
not
And
saying I'm not saying that. I'm saying the conversation always alludes to King. Like
no,
the
I'm not
whole world
talking
is
about
obsessed with
Babar
honestly,
Azam. I'm
yeah,
Stop
not
but
talking
you
about
calling
guys
him
just name
king.
King every time. You guys
Rizwan.
name drop.
I think
Okay,
Rizwan
but
is
the
not.
first name that comes to mind is always King. But bro,
He's not a
But
just
king,
like how
bro.
just like how in India the first name whenever they lose is Virat Kohli. If you want to be
yes, because
compared
they're
to the
both kings.
greats, if
Yeah,
you want to be
they're both
compared to the
kings.
greats, and I think people are losing the thought process where they're calling Babar Azam the greatest batsman of Pakistan history. We've had guys like Inzamam ul Haq, Muhammad Yusuf, Yunus Khan, Misbah ul Haq. These guys have literally carried Pakistan for decades. And the runs that they've scored and scored match-winning knocks. Inzamam ul Haq has had like 4 centuries against India just in ODIs alone out of his 10th century. That guy's a match winner. What game has Babar Azam won for
Bro,
you in the
can I just
last
can
5 years? Can we
can I
go ahead?
just say one? No, no, I'm not gonna say one thing. I'm just gonna state one lyric by a great rapper from New York, Hove. He said, "Men lie, women lie, numbers don't." I'm just leave it at that.
I mean, his test average has been horrendous in the last 5 years. I mean, are we going to
Bro,
pull up the stats?
fastest to 6,000 runs, bro.
Uh,
Dude,
th-
just let King
he
cook
he
until the
tied
next
with
6 years.
Hashim Amla. I mean, is that the fastest?
I mean, tied for the fastest through 6,000.
Yeah, Hashim
Sorry,
Amla
sorry.
wasn't
He was
playing
a,
Zimbabwe every other day. Come on,
neither
man.
is dude. This is
Come on.
crazy, bro. You guys
Or
literally
playing the C
undermine
teams
his.
in Pakistan, the New Zealand C team or
He's
the
playing his
Australia C team.
opposition. How's that his fault? Whoever's playing,
That's
he's playing
another
against.
problem that Pakistan has. Whenever teams send
Yeah, I do agree. Yeah,
they never
it's
test
the
their
worst
bench
team.
strength because
Yeah,
everyone wants to play and score their numbers. That's why against Bangladesh, watch tomorrow, Babar Azam is going to probably score a century, and Shaheen's probably going to take
no, I don't
six
think so.
wickets. So I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, I think he'll take
yeah.
6 wickets.
So
Yeah.
then they'll secure their spot in the team for another 5, 6 years. That's how it always works. Whenever the tournament is over, or whenever the pressure's off, that's when these guys perform, and that's the problem that we've had with Pakistan for the longest time.
Yeah,
Let's
and
test the bench strength, man. Come on,
this
AG,
goes
take it
back to
over.
your statement where you said, "Hey, we want to try the young guys." This is the problem with Pakistan cricket is you can try the young guys, and we've done this for several years. And then what happens is a tournament comes around, and they say, "Oh, our young guys, we don't know if they're ready or not. Let's go call the old guys. So let's go call the Shoaib Maliks and the Mohammad Hafizes and the Misbah ul Haqs, right, to come and save us, right?" The thing is you have to be able to win or lose. If that's your strategy, you got to go into these tournaments with the young guys, right? And say, you know what? It is what it is. Because as you see these older guys with experience, the Shaheens, the Babars, the Rizwans, right? You haven't done much better, right? It hasn't gone the way that you expected it to go. I expected it to go this way because I'm very realistic when it comes to Pakistan cricket, right? I'm not gonna hope and pray that we're going to score 350 runs. It's not going to happen. We haven't done that in I don't know how many games, right? It's not going to happen in a tournament when the pressure is on, right? You're playing at home, all eyes are on you, you're the host. It's simply not going to happen. So either you got to go all in with this and say, hey, we're going to ride these guys. We're going to, to me, the guys you stick with are the Fuckers, the Siams. I love Abbas Afridi. I love what's his name? Abrar, right? Abrar gets a lot of like people say, oh, he doesn't do enough, but hey, he's a frontline spinner, right? He's very economical. He doesn't leak a lot of runs. He may or may not get wickets, but it's very effective to have a bowler like that because in 10 overs he's given up 40 runs, 50 runs. Your patients are giving up 80 or 90. You need a guy like that, right? Kamran Ghulam, I love. Right? I just like guys who play with their heart, right? Who really give it their all. These other guys, they just come in and play a million dot balls. The Saud Shakils, the Mohammad Rizwans, even the Babars, Syed Tahir didn't work out, right? My thing
Oh
is
yeah,
also
hell no, he didn't.
he did it, right?
Jesus.
My other thing is, why did you not bring Fahim Ashraf into the side, right? He can also bat. Why don't you think? Sometimes you have to think like other teams think, like how India thinks. India says, you know what? We're gonna play. We played what, one pace? That's it. Shami and Harshit Rana.
Shami, Harshit
Art.
Rana, and Hardik. I mean, they had three,
Hardik, but Hardik's a proper all rounder, right?
but we can't compare Hardik Pandya to Fahim Ashraf, brother. I mean,
No,
they're
why can't?
leaps
Fahim is
and
small in front of him,
bounds.
Why
bro.
can't
They
we
are
find a
leaps.
Hardik Pandya? Why don't you
We
telling
have
me in a
Amir
country?
Jamal. We have Amir Jamal. He played
Why
well
aren't
in
you playing
tests, and
him?
then he wrote 804 on his floppy. So
So that was it.
yeah,
So then you bring
political.
it.
Bro,
So forget the 804. You brought in a noon league guy. You brought in Rana Saab, right? Boss say Rana is
Yeah,
back, right? And all of a sudden,
Rana is back, bro. You saw what he did in the BPL, bro. He hit
Rana
freaking
is
six
back
sixes in one over,
to
bro.
where he's back to the bench. Play the guy. If Rana is back, play the guy. Play him. I don't get. We talk about this all the time in the chat in our more life chat. We say, hey man, you brought this guy back. Obviously, he's a Perchi. He's a noon league guy. I think he's good. What he brings to the table, right? Is he's gonna give you some wickets, he'll leak some runs, he might score some with the bat, but it's better than Shaheen fashioning himself as an all-rounder. First ball comes in.
See, I don't agree.
Look,
His average is 8.
listen,
Wallahi, I think
Shaheen,
I can score 8 runs.
if you told Shaheen, hey Shaheen, you can go and open the batting, he'll run pad up and go open the batting. First
He
ball, he'll
would.
catch it on the pads. He'll waste your appeal, right? Because he'll say, "Oh, I don't know, I wasn't." Bro,
that was the worst review of all time.
and he did it so confidently. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way I was out.
And
What?
there's no repercussion for that. And we were talking in
None.
the podcast before the game started. Is like, why is Shaheen batting above Naseem? He has no abilities.
Exactly. He fashions himself to be a proper all rounder. You see it if you watch PSL. You see him with Lahore. Yeah, he might hit a
He
few
came in
balls
at
here and
4
there.
one time. Yeah.
He did. He came in at 4
Yeah.
because he thinks he can bat, and it's insane that nobody tells him like, look, man, just hang back a little bit. I mean, the review was so bad. It tells you so much about a player's mentality, where it's like he really thinks that he's like this amazing batsman because he bats a little in PSL. He might score some runs down the order, but when you need him, he can't do anything.
I know we're getting fired up about this topic. It's a great topic, but I want to say two words. Shadab Khan.
Oh man,
That guy, I'm telling you guys, I think he should have been a selection in the team. The
Zayd,
balance that he
we were
brings,
cursing him. We were
yeah,
cursing him in 2023.
I understand, but the balance that he brings, I think, especially playing in Pakistan, in these conditions, you have a wrist spinner that like Kuldeep. Obviously, he's a left arm unorthodox, so he gets the ball moving both ways. But I think a wrist spinner in these conditions is a wicket taking option. Pakistan was lacking a wicket taking option in their bowling. Abrar was good, economical, but he isn't a wicket taking option. Shadab would have got smacked around here and there, but I think he would have been a wicket taking option that they could have used. And batting wise, I think he brings more depth. You can bring him in at 5, 6, 7, 8. So I think that was the guy that they were kind of missing. I would play him over Kushdal any day. He's a gun fielder. You saw Kushdal, he dropped catches. So I mean, there's a lot of things that Pakistan can do, and I think it's going to be very interesting in May what the T20 lineup is going to look like, and then they're going to play some ODIs, I think, against New Zealand in New Zealand. So the ball is going to be moving around over there. So.
I
Uh,
think this goes back to Wasi, the comment I made about Ahmed Shahzad, where it's I think what he says is really true. They've made factions in the team, and you have a guy like Shadab who is how many times has he won the PSL? Right, he's the defending PSL champion captain. Right,
mhm.
they have made it such a toxic environment that these guys, these talented guys, even if you remember last year, right, the T20 World Cup, everyone was pushing for Imad Wasim to come into the team, and they brought him into the team. But you just saw his body language. It was like he didn't want to be there, right? He just
Yeah, but
did it.
Imad Wasim, they ousted him. Babar Azam ousted Imad Wasim.
Yeah, but what's the
Before
reason?
that,
Okay, I understand Shadab is not performing or he's been struggling, but a guy like Shadab with that type he can bring to a an ODI game, especially right T20, forget about. Okay, he struggled in T20, but what he can bring to an ODI game where you can both over at 5, 6, give you some runs or even save down one end, it's so valuable, right? And to kind of play like that, it's terrible, right? There's absolutely no reason a guy like Shadab should be in the team.
yeah, I mean, that's the thing is where's Pakistan gonna go from here? I heard rumors Akib Javed is gone after this. Hopefully, I got my fingers crossed. Um,
Akib Ball.
Akib Ball. I mean, even like the likes like Sean Masood. I mean, they could have tried them, in the one days here or there. But
This
I
guy
mean,
loves Sean Masood. He loves Sean Masood.
I think he plays for the country, man. He's not what you call it, selfish. We lost
Bro,
AG, I think, but
I mean,
we
you
can wrap
call
it
it a
up.
wraps? Yeah,
Yeah.
let's wrap it up.
So I just want to say thank you everybody for joining, listening. We had 2,000 views on our last podcast, so we
All
appreciate.
organic. Wallahi, we weren't doing it for the views either. Me and Zayd would always text back and forth.
Yeah,
Just talking about cricket and all that. And Zayd's like, bro, let's hop on a pod. We can have everything on record. I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we hopped
yeah,
on like a few days ago. And then it was so fun just talking about it. And then somehow our last video reached 2,000 views.
yeah.
So we do
2,000 views,
appreciate
so we
that.
appreciate the support and yeah. Drop a comment of what you think Pakistan should do in the future for white ball. We'd love to see. And as always, we appreciate you, AG, for the amazing insight. We'd love to have you back sometime in the future to discuss cricket. Oh, he can't
Guys, I
hear.
can't. Okay, so he's saying I can't hear you. Okay, yeah, I think that's a good
Yeah,
time
yeah,
to end it.
yeah. We'll end
AG,
it
we
from here.
appreciate you.
And
All right,
thank you
thank you
so
so much.
much. We're gonna end it. Thank you guys. Peace.